morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So what's the time, Mr. Wall? So it's 6 minutes past 1 in the afternoon, my delicious babies, on the 6th of December 2025. Now then, my delicious babies, so the weather, that doesn't mean no, just got hair in my trap, my delicious babies. Anyway, so we got another grey sky. It was peeing down for most of the night. A little bit of wind, a little bit chilly. And that's the weather forecast, my delicious babies. And I hope that wherever you are in the world, that the weather's better in your neck of the woods than in mine, my delicious babies. Anyway, so yes, I've just been listening to. It's called. The video is actually called, because it's talking, capital T, space, with space, capital M, Mahoney. Okay, my delicious babies, and it's at. Is it at Mahoney Spain or at David Mahoney Spain on YouTube, my delicious babies, anyway. And anyway, I've advertised him long time, bless you. Sorry, dear David, okay? And it's the latest video, my delicious babies, which is Nick Sylvester is back. Okay, my delicious babies. Now I'm halfway through listening. I love these type of videos, you know, not in that way with anyone, okay? But I love these kind of videos, you know what I mean? They make you flipping howl, you know. I mean, I know it's a serious conversation, but it's just the way they say it. Do you understand what I mean, Martin babies? That's what I find really amusing. 3, 2, 1, Margie, little lads. Thank you, little lads. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they, Martin babies? Yeah. So, yeah, please take a listen, Martin babies. It's just over an hour long on YouTube. And our dear David now, bless him, he's now up to you know, not in that way. He's up to 1.27 thousand subscribers, Martin baby. So fandabidozy, okay. Well done to our dear David. I'm very proud of him because, of course, when we go back to the old pandemic, the old flipping lockdown, you know what I mean, Martin babies. Well, you know, because he was covering lots of, you know, different, topics, because of everything what was going on. Margish baby's all right. I've got my flipping hair all sticking up. I look like Stig of a dump. Margish baby's all got to keep a handle on it. So he was talking about all different kind of things. Now, well, anyway, now he's going into, oh, bless him. I did mention dear David the other day. He's now, you know, talking about, you know, like words of wisdom and, you know, things to do with relationships and, you know, and all sorts of things. Sorry, I never needed to stumble. But of course, when dear David and Nick get together, you know, to have a little natter, Nick Sylvester, well, you know, they have a good old chinwag. Do you know what I mean? I personally, for myself, I prefer, you know, like I said, not in that way. I prefer men like dear David and Nick Sylvester, because more men should speak like, there we are, more men should speak like this, okay, my delicious babies. You know, do you ever remember that song, Big Girls Don't Cry? You know that song, okay? What year was that song? And it was Big Girls Don't Cry. You know that song, my delicious babies. Anyway, so ones are brought up, I've said this before, ones are brought up to be most masculine, okay, my delicious babies, but it's like they wasn't allowed to cry or to show any emotion, you know. I get so emotional, baby, every time I think of you. You know what I mean, my delicious babies. But for most men, they were, you know, not brought up that way. I mean, my dear dad, bless him, you know, we may not get along, but I'd never wish any harm on him. I hope he's all right. Do you know what I mean? Martinish babies. Anyway, bless him. I do love him. We just don't get along. He loves me and I love he, but we just do not get along. That's all. But I never want any harm. If I ever found out there was something wrong, I'll be straight to where he lives. There we are. There we are. Do you know what I mean? Martinish babies. Anyway, because there'd be nothing worse than I'm not that I'm wishing it. No, but there's nothing worse than somebody very sadly passing away and you haven't been able to say goodbye. Do you know what I mean, Martinish babies? I've had that very sadly a number of times in my lifetime. Anyway, Martinish babies, and I'll forever love each and every one of them. Okay. Just couldn't get there in time, unfortunately. Anyway, Martinish babies. Anyway, and so some men were like brought up that, and my dad's one of these where, and I was brought up with my dear dad, me and my sister, and he's one of these men, like he just get embarrassed, like talking about different things. So that's why it was always better for myself to talk to my beautiful dear little Nana. How I love my beautiful dear little nanny and granddad. So my beautiful dear little Nana Bear. Or I had a couple of other dear ladies, who I could, talk to discuss things, But my dad didn't really, do you know what I mean? He'd give us a hug, like and a kiss on the cheek, you know what I mean? Martinish babies, okay? But my dad's more of a serious type of gentleman, Martinish babies, and so he's very, very serious. You know what I mean? Martinish babies, okay? He never believed in bed hopping. He was with my beautiful dear, how I love her so, my beautiful dear little mummy, and then Mama Bear, and then he married, his dear wife, my beautiful dear little Mama Bear, and his dear wife, and he's with her for nearly 25 years. Do you know what I mean? Martinish babies, okay? So very serious like that. If you're in a relationship, then there we are. Then you're in a relationship. Do you know what I mean? Okay, good, bad, or indifferent. You love one another. Well, actually, they happen to love one another very deeply. Martinish babies. We cannot say that about the first time round. He'd never ever hear a bad word said about my dear mum. Never. You know what I mean? But they just couldn't. Because my dear mum wasn't very well, Martinish babies, so it's very, very difficult to talk to my dear Mama Bear, Martinish babies. I can well assure you of that. Oh gosh, my beautiful dear little Mama Bear. She put him round the ringer, proper round the ringer. You know what I mean? Martinish babies, okay. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, Martinish babies, but nevertheless, if they had never have met, then I would not be here now talking in the camera to yourselves, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So when we look at it like that, but yeah, a very serious dear man. You couldn't. That's what I in a lovely way. I mean this in a very polite way. That's what I really like about dear David Mahoney. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure that his dear son, he can talk to his dear dad about anything. I actually feel there we are. That's a wonderful thing, if fathers and daughters, or fathers and sons, or mothers and daughters, or mothers and sons, if they can do that, because not all mummies and daddies are like that. Do you see what I mean? But I never ever envy. I've never ever envied. Do you understand what I mean, Martinish babies? It's just the fact that it's really lovely and refreshing when you hear conversations such as on our dear David's channel, you know what I mean? But please take a listen, because his words of wisdom now, Martinish babies, there we are. He's really starting to, what's the word I'm looking for? To gain there we are, to gain traction, Martinish babies, you know what I mean? And this is like ones like over decades, maybe they've had a lot of relationship problems. You know what I mean, Martinish babies? I'm the flipping queen of it. You know what I mean? But, not that I've been like with all and sundry. No. What I mean is that I've never ever been in love. I've said this before because I don't know what it is. I mean, I know when others are in love, and they tell you that they're in love, but not for myself, no. Do I feel bad that I've never been in love? No. I think actually for myself, there we are. I'm talking personally, my delicious babies. I think it's a flipping true blessing. You know what I mean? Because imagine if you was to really, I mean, I know that sometimes ones do have to have their hearts broken. You know what I mean, my delicious babies? That's just a figure of speech, isn't it, my delicious babies? Oh, the sun has got his hat on. Hip, 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 hooray. We've got some sunshine. But sorry, getting back to the matter in hand. But, you know, I should imagine that you feel quite shitey, really. You know what I mean? Somebody's really broke your heart. It's like you really feel like flipping shite, don't you, my delicious little babies? I should imagine. You know what I mean? So, of course, that's not very sociable, is it, my delicious little babies? But, but I do agree with what dear David and Nick were talking about on the video. Sometimes, what Nick was saying is sometimes you have to go through this heartbreak. But I do truly believe, there we are, for even say it, I do truly believe, my delicious babies, that I will find, there we are, my forever. There we are. I really, really do, But I'm not one of these to, go to timing. I never ever have my delicious babies. I do not agree with that at all. I'm very, and that doesn't mean yes, I'm very much against that, my delicious babies. If somebody does not want to be with somebody, if they are in a relationship, I'm talking about my delicious babies. If you're single, well, you can, do whatever floats your boat, my delicious babies. But if you're in a relationship, and just like what dear David and Nick said, I totally agree with all this anyway. I know this for decades. I mean, I've done hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of readings in my decades, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So part of that role is to advise others, my delicious little babies can. Because not everybody did that, but some, there we are, some found themselves in that situation one way or another, my delicious babies. Anyway, fast forward. So if you're in a relationship, my delicious babies, you should not be, as far as I'm concerned, sleeping around with anybody else. If you do not want to be with somebody else, for whatever reason, well, just do not do it. Do you understand what I mean? Just come out of the situation. Come out. There we are. Come out of it. Because if whoever you're with is not, let's just say, physically, I do not mean physically as in, hitting anybody. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, a rumble in the jungle. Having a healthy lifestyle in that way. I'll just keep it polite, okay? My delicious babies. Or so physically or emotionally. So if you are not having your needs met, well, it's time to trap. There we are. It's time to trap. It's time to come out of the situation. Because you're not only affecting who you're in a relationship with once they flipping well found out. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? And let me tell you, sometimes that's not come off very well, has it, my delicious babies? Anyway, I personally would never have even gone down that road. If somebody can do that to you, my delicious babies, walk away, man. There we are. That's what I said. Just walk away. It's not worth getting yourself all rolled up and, behind bars, because, you've decided that because you're, well, I suppose by that time they are your unsignificant other half, my delicious babies, if they've done something wrong, do you know what I mean, to go and, clatter somebody else. Well, I really just do not feel that it's worth it, because if somebody could do that anyway, well, why go to that trouble of getting yourself in trouble? Do you understand what I mean, my delicious babies? It just doesn't make any sense, does it? But for myself, no. And I've never been unfaithful, ever. No. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? Because I just do not believe in it. And of course, the way that I was brought up to be, you know, especially, you know, taking very good teachings, shall we say, from my dear dad and my very beautiful, once again, how I love my nanny and granddad so, my beautiful dear little nana and granddad, my beautiful dear little family members, do you know what I mean, who are all married for decades and decades. So that was for myself, I feel. There we are, very good teachings. There we are, it was very good teachings, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean, okay? You stick together through thick and thin, you know. And it is very true, isn't it, my delicious little babies? You know, we do not like that word. We seem to keep hearing it, my delicious babies, especially of late. Till death us do part, yes. That is me personally, what I feel it should be. I mean, I do understand that some relationships, there we are complicated. There we are. I do get it. You know, like in my beautiful little mama bear. Once again, how I love her so, my dear little mama bear. So, and my dear dad. Okay, it was, you know, it was just an impossible situation, and you cannot be in a situation like that. I'm pretty sure, you know, that the, you know, my dear mama bear and my dear dad, I'm pretty sure that they would have, you know, sent each other completely stir crazy, you know what I mean, if they were to be together like 20 years, you know what I mean, my delicious babies, can. So I do get that, but at the same time, I do believe in this, you know, call me old fashioned, but I do believe in, you know what I mean, staying together. Together forever and never to part. Do you know what I mean? Mards Little Babies, yes. Rick Ashley, what year? Anyway, Mards Little Babies. So yes, so you know, it's a really good video to listen to, Mards Little Babies. And I do feel both men and women, because after all, we only have two, don't we, Mards Little Babies, that if they're going through any, there we are, difficult patches or something, or there's something they've not really come to terms with, well, trot over to our dear David Mahoney's channel, Mards Little Babies. I'm sure that you will feel, there we are, most enlightened. Okay, Mards Little Babies. And that's not sarcasm. I mean that I really genuinely do mean that from my heart. I personally just love listening, but you know, because with me being single, Mards Little Babies, okay? I mean, flip me. Gee whiz. I mean, there's so many times where I just say to myself, you know, I'm really glad that I'm flipping there we are, that I'm single. Do you know what I mean? Martlish babies. Because, you know, you just don't want, it's only a figure of speech, Martlish babies, but you just wouldn't want flipping GBH of the year old, do you know what I mean? Martlish babies. You know, just for silly things or just nonsensical things, you know what I mean? Martlish babies, can. As far as I'm concerned, anyone who's been, let's just say, very lucky, and that is not ego, Martin Little Babies. What I'm saying is, cook, clean, iron, and wash, and do you understand what I mean? And I, you know, have other talents. Okay, Martin Little Babies. The fact of the matter is, I would say they were there we are, lucky to be in my presence, Martin Little Babies. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. All it was is that I really just do not feel that they could quite catch up with me. They were just on different levels. And again, you live and learn, don't you, my delicious babies? You know, either you're meant to be with somebody together forever or you're just not. And for myself, no. Do you know what I mean? But I will, like I said earlier, there we are, I will meet, there we are, my forever. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? I understand that we all have flaws. And I understand we probably have a few teething issues, but at the same time, the way I see it is, how can I say, even though I'm still young at 52, I am old enough, there we are, you know, when you know what you want. Do you know what I mean, Mads Lichtlich babies, can? And what do many want in the world, Mads Lichtlich babies? I'm not talking about Mads Lichtlich babies in loving and caring relationships, can? I'm talking about maybe somebody who's not in such a fruitful relationship at this point in time, babies, or somebody who is single. What I'm talking about is that maybe they are wanting that, you know, lovingness. Do you know what I mean, babies? You know, somebody to care for them and There we are. There we are. Somebody to care for them, somebody to love them for who they are, put them on a pedestal. You put them on a pedestal, they put you on a pedestal. You know, I'm pretty sure that there's millions that we are out there who would just adore something like that, Mardlish babies. Do you know what I mean? But of course, it is very difficult to find Mardlish babies, you know what I mean, okay, ones can, you know, they do not have to have every single thing in common, Mardlish babies. So, you know, one could be doing one thing and another could be doing something else. Do you understand what I mean? You know, in a couple Mardlish babies. But what the general idea is that they both get on romantically, but they should be able to come away from the pillow talk and have many thousands, of different conversations, okay? And another thing is never to get bored of one another. You know, that's why you quite often hear over the decades where they say, oh, you got, you know, say a couple, an elderly couple, and one could be sat in one chair and one could be sat in the other chair, you know, opposite sides of the same room. And one's doing the knitting or sewing, the other one's reading the paper or a book, you know what I mean? And it's total silence. So whenever one's being asked, and I have asked, you know, because I used to care work on and off for over 20 years, Mardlish babies case, and I love talking to the elderly. They're just banging, you know what I mean? Okay, they've got really super duper, there we are, words of wisdom, and super duper personalities, you know what I mean? Okay, make the flipping cat laugh, man, do you know what I mean? Okay, and you know, and you say, well, what, you know, why have you been together, you know, all this time, and what's held you together, you know, like super glue. And you know, like Siamese twins glued at the hip, you know what I mean? Mardlish babies. And you know, they're just so you can sit in a room together and you're so super duper comfortable that you do not need words. There we are, there we are. That's so true, Mardlish babies. Do you know what I mean? So sorry, excuse me. So you do not always 24/7 yap 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 yap. You know what I mean? Chatty, chatty, chatty. Do you know what I mean? You can have moments of quietness. There we are as well. Mardlish babies. But just knowing, I feel what it is with the elderly, this is my thoughts anyway. I feel with the elderly, it's knowing that one is opposite the other. There we are. And it's that comfort of knowing that the other is, there we are, is there. Do you follow what I'm saying, Mardlish babies? Yes, that's my thoughts anyway. But it's lovely to see. Really, really is, Mardlish babies anyway. So, you know, that's that. But yeah, the other one now, banging news I've got, Mardlish babies. So we've got on YouTube again, Mardlish babies. Last time I just looked, 9 points. Oh, sorry. And dear David Mahoney, keep up the excellent work, our little lovely, okay? Not in that way, not in that way. Bless your dear heart, okay? And let you thrive, okay? And prosper with your channel. Now then, Mardlish babies, the other part of excellent news I've got, okay? And as you all know, I listen to our lovely, and within one, like I said, not in that way, not in that way, our lovely dear little Malkay and her dear husband, Rob. Okay, Mardlish babies now then. So I was listening to the video yesterday evening on her Rumble, Mornings with Malkay Spaces, and then, you know, Rumble. Okay, Mardlish babies, then you can hear she's dear little Mal, she's dear little Rob. They're up to still at 204,000 subscribers on Rumble, Mardlish babies. You know, if you wanted to go on to Rumble and subscribe there as well, Mardlish babies. Anyway, our lovely dear little Mal and her lovely dear husband Rob, they've got a YouTube channel back, Mardlish babies, and it's called, right, so if you was to type in at, so there's no spaces, Mardlish babies, at, and then capital the, capital M, Mal, and then capital K, K, and then capital S, show. So it should read at the Malkay Show, or you could type in the Malkay Show. But if you type in that one with the at, and I think it's hyphen, is it 050? or 051, something like that, Marglish Babies. But if you just type that in, please and thank you, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, then you would have actually gone straight through, there we are, to the Mel K show. Okay, Marglish Babies, because what's happening is, and I got fully well, yes, I did, our lovely dear little Mel and our dear Rob now, I got fully well where you're coming from. What's happened is, over these years, Marglish Babies, okay, ones have been taking other videos from other uploaders and then making the ka-ching, ching, ching, ching. Do you see what I mean? So it's not the proper uploader. Okay, Marglish Babies. I mean, I know for some uploaders, I have heard them over, there we are, over the years, Marglish Babies, where they have said, well, I don't mind if, you know, somebody uploads my video and that, okay? But no, not if somebody's done, there we are, hours and years and months of research, Marglish Babies, you know what I mean? And somebody else is uploading it so that they can gain ka-ching, ching, ching, financial gain. You know what I mean, Marglish Babies? I think that's very naughty. That's most naughty. Okay, Marglish Babies, anyway. So I was super duper pleased, you know what I mean? And I will be sending some comments. And of course, as soon as I seen, was it yesterday evening? Because dear Robert said that they were at 77. Well, of course, as soon as they told me where to go, you know, telling their audience, Marglish Babies, I went straight onto YouTube and then typed it in, and then it was at 86. So I was 87th, Marglish Babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And then, of course, I got a lovely surprise because when I looked this morning, 9.86 thousand. Look at that. Marglish Babies, you see what I mean? Because our lovely dear little Mel, bless her, and her dear husband Rob, well, they do, there we are, all the research. Do you know what I mean? Marglish Babies, okay? And it's just fantastic. Absolutely. Anybody who does decades like our lovely, not in that way, our lovely dear David Icke as well the same. You know, and then we've got, so anyway, so if you want to listen to our lovely dear little Mel and our lovely dear little Rob, then please YouTube as well. They do as well have their melkshow.com as well, okay? Where, you know, if you would like to, you know, I think it's, is it $5 a month or something, because it really helps, there we are, their show, because they do not get any help from other places. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, and well, the reason for this, okay, Marglish Babies, is because the level of research that our dear little Mel and dear little Rob do. Okay, Marglish Babies, but me personally never need to stumble. Beautiful little couple. Oh, they're just so beautiful. Okay, Marglish Babies, so pleased that we could get those numbers up as well. Everybody who I advertise. Now, on Odysee, ODYSEE, is all the words together in lowercase, The Crow House, all lowercase, little letters. Okay, Marglish Babies, okay, you want the main site, so it's like The Crow House, and then it'll be space Odysee. Okay, Marglish Babies, when you click on Odysee, and then how many now does dear Maxigan, not in that way. Dear Maxigan now has, is it 39,000 on that channel, Marglish Babies, bless him. Anyway, here's another one, Marglish Babies, he's done decades, there we are, of research and talks and everything, Marglish Babies, bless him as well. Bless everybody. They're just also, you know, not in that way, there we are, they're just all so beautiful. You know, because everybody is unique and everybody has a talent. But the world that we live in, Marglish Babies, they've been a long time doing this, you know, the level of programming, you know what I mean, Marglish Babies. So that ones, you know, do not come back, you know what I mean, to their natural spirit, Marglish Babies. Do you understand what I mean? There we are, that's why they do it. This is why they do all this, you know. They do not want many to see their full potential. No, they do not want that, okay? They want everybody, you know, to walk around like the blindfolded. You know what I mean, Marglish Babies, okay? and like their ears have got plugs in. Okay, I'm hard to just look babies anyway. But I admire anybody, there we are, who does decades of research. Let me get back to the matter in hand. So anyway, so we've got our lovely dear Maxigan now. He's uploaded 2 recent videos. One was 9 days ago, and this one was it's about 20, I think it's about 20, 21 hours ago. And yes, he's covering the digital RD, and he's covering all different sorts of things. And what he was talking about is that these bots. It's because it's a scam, isn't it, So what it is, this bot farm was raided. There we are, from the old Bill babies. We call the police officers. Used to be constables, very different meaning. I always like, there we are, to point that out. Babies anyway. And well, yeah. So what was going on here? Then I do believe it was like been uploaded to YouTube. I think it's not the latest video. It's the video before that on Odyssey Babies anyway. And they're uploading videos to YouTube because they get paid. They ching, 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 and all you got is rows and rows and rows of dog and burns. Babies, do you know what I mean? I talked about something to do with this, which was long time back now, Babies. I cannot remember which video it was now, Babies. But I seen something on YouTube, but not YouTube, BitChute, Babies. But and I forever miss my BitChute. Do you know what I mean, Babies? Anyway, one day I'll be able to see BitChute again. See the uploads. What they're uploading, because you get the damn truth there, Babies. But you know what? Poor BitChute as well, because dear Maxigan was saying they're having a Raver Hay, bless him, I think he's having problems as well. Do you know what I mean? Babies, because they just do not want, there we are, the truth to get out. Babies, you know what I mean? And of course, I used to advertise them a long time. I'm so pleased that I did. There we are. I'm really, really pleased. Do you know what I mean? Of say for example, I'm giving an example now. Say out of 100 who are told about BitChute, there's probably only 3 who had heard of BitChute. For the rest, they never heard of it. They said, well, what's BitChute? I've never heard of it. Do you see what I mean? Babies anyway. So, a wonderful site, because like I said, you get the truth, okay? You get the truth with the other uploads, is what I'm just saying. But what I mean is they've got lots of different uploaders, okay? Babies, okay? And you see lots of different things that are going on in America, and of course, which are going on in other countries as well, Babies, okay? Which, of course, you would not otherwise hear about, okay? Now, what dear Maxigan was also talking about, so yeah, and sorry, just to tell you about that, what I talked about months ago. It's where you've got ones who are looking at every single YouTube video, okay? So they're monitoring everything. So yes, ones can say, oh yeah, it's we've got AI, we've got the algorithms, no. We have got part. There we are. We have got part of that. But I truly believe, there we are, we have got physical mankind as well. There we are, babies, do you know what I mean? And the ones that they do not want videos to get out and things like this now, then there we are, because they're so small, like myself, small channels. Yeah, I definitely believe that they keep there we are, beady little eyes on the smaller channels, you know what I mean? Babies, to see if ones are saying something that they shouldn't be saying, babies, because as you very well know, we should have a free speech, but it appears that certain do not want us to have free speech, babies. Anyway, so I'd already discussed that long time back, but these bots and that, well, I mean, that's totally wrong as well. You should see the flipping rows of these dog and bone bots. Unreal. Do you know what I mean? Babies. Anyway. And what was the other thing that dear Maxigan, what was it as well he was talking about now? Oh, it's gone out me flipping noddle now, babies. I was just about to say something else, what he was talking about. Oh, come on, come back to me. I've forgotten now, it's completely gone out my noddle. But anyway, please and thank you. Should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, please and thank you, take a listen to our lovely dear Maxigan as well. Okay, Martin babies, he's been oh sorry, excuse me. He's been travelling around at the moment, Martin babies. It's all right. I have had a little bit of a cough, you know, with the old mucus. I mean, it is coming up, you know what I mean? It's like water, and this is a cherry and is it cherry, strawberry, and grape? I think this one is. So I'll just have a sip, please, and thank you. Yeah, cherry, strawberry, and grape. I think that one is. Okay, my delicious babies. So yeah, sorry about that. I just had to have a little drinky poos. But well worth a listen to dear Maxigan's channel as well, my delicious babies, because I mean, with all of these beautiful dear souls who I have mentioned today, okay, the fact of the matter is, I mean, I do not know how to do not get more frustrated, my delicious babies, because as you all very well know, I do have my moments, my delicious babies. Do you understand what I mean? Well, I'll just get totally paid off with it. I'm not going to swear on this video today, my delicious babies. I don't need to, but I keep up the other one, you know what I mean? My delicious babies, big times. Anyway, my delicious babies. So, you know, because when I'm paid off, and that's it. But, you know, because of what goes on in the world, my delicious babies. But anyway, so for myself, I do get rather cheesed off sometimes, my delicious babies. But you know, the way I see it is, there we are. It's better out than in. If you say what you got to say, there we are. Just say what you got to say. Get it over and done with. Job done. You know what I mean, my delicious babies, okay? When you hold it in, that's when one's caused themselves, you know, there we are, to become most poorly. You know, because they're holding everything in, aren't they, my delicious babies, anyway, finally. So, and yeah, it's peeing down again, my delicious babies, anyway. If it's raining, it's raining. I went to a beautiful dear little elderly lady, you know, who I used to take soups, homemade soup round to. Yeah, I went to her, oh, bless her, our beautiful dear little sweet little Mary. Because a beautiful dear little sweet little chihuahua, little baby Mickey, well, he's gone to another part of the family now, but I'm pretty sure that he'll be missing his dear mummy bear to, you know, his heart, do you know what I mean? Because he's only nearly 4, okay? Martin babies, yeah, it was a lovely service, yeah, really lovely, you know, because our beautiful dear little Mary had a very large family. So I went to our little beautiful's funeral service yesterday, Martin babies, can. Anyway, I'm not going to say anything more. Okay, Martin babies, but what a beautiful, dear elderly lady. And anyway, and because, like I said, she did come on one of my videos. You never saw her, but we spoke on one of my videos, Martin babies. I think it's about 3 years ago now. But may her, our beautiful, dear little Mary's, may she rest in peace, bless her, okay? And yeah, it was a really lovely funeral service. Anyway, so I was talking to this other dear woman, bless, and she not at that place, somewhere else, and she was telling me that one of her work colleagues, she said she's so energetic, you know, this dear woman's one of her dear friends, because she was a friend to her as well as a work colleague. She said she was just so energetic. She said she was just so kind. She said the kindest lady you'd ever wish to meet. And she said, she's very sadly passed away. I said, oh. I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm awfully sorry to hear that. And I said, I hope you don't mind me asking. I said, how old was she? And she said, well, 57. I said, well, that's no age. I said, I hope you do not mind me asking. I said, but what did your dear friend pass with? She said, she had some sort of asthma attack, but she never had her inhaler. It's quite odd, isn't it, my delicious babies? Because anybody who I've ever known who has had asthma, my delicious babies, okay? Well, they consciously, there we are, make sure that the asthma, their inhaler, the puffer, is with them. There we are at all times, Martin babies. I just thought, listening to it. I mean, may that dear woman rest in peace as well. I mean, it's no age 57, is it, Martin babies? But it's bizarre how that would happen, and you just wouldn't have your inhaler with you. Because I know we once, like I've just said, I'll repeat this again. Anybody who I know who's had asthma in my decades, okay, carry it. There we are, literally everywhere with them. And that includes to the bathroom. There we are, mad little babies. Do you understand what I mean, okay? Because of that, afraid of, of having an attack. Okay, mad little babies. That was very sad news. Then I spoke to another dear woman, and then she was talking about, that was it. I said, are you looking forward to the Crimbo, to the fake Crimbo? She said, I do not celebrate it. Very interesting conversations that I had, Mardish little babies, and and she said, the only thing I can say, she said, is that there's something very dark about Christmas, the day. I said, yes. There we are. I said, yes, absolutely so, yeah. Very interesting conversations that I had. Do you know what I mean? Mardish little babies. Anyway, so that's the end of my video, Mardish little babies. So yeah, so our beautiful, dear little sweet little Mary. Oh, bless her beautiful, dear little soul. May she rest in peace, and bless her dear little family. Well, not little family; they're very large, and bless them all, and bless her dear little Mickey. Who we call our little sons and daughters, marvelous little babies. But I'm pretty sure, bless the beautiful dear little soul, she would have still been here. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore about that marvelous little babies. No, it's not for me to say without speaking to our beautiful dear little Mary's family first. So I'm just not going to say anything more marvelous little babies anyway. That's what I want to say. Oh yeah, finally, marvelous babies. Just let me tell you, yeah. So the lamp was out again, marvelous baby. And the thing is, it is working. There we are, marvelous babies. It is working, but they're choosing to switch the lamp. There we are, to switch the lamp off, marvelous babies. And now they've moved the little trainer. They've now moved it it was on one garden, now it's on the other garden, marvelous babies. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, okay. So, and that happened to be another dear elderly lady that I went to her funeral service as well, marvelous babies, because I used to do some washing and drying for her, and I used to take around little meals. You know what I mean? Marvelous babies. So, yeah. There's now a Ukrainian woman in there with her daughter, marvelous babies. That's who's moved into that flat, marvelous babies. Anyway, so that's the end of my video. So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may you all be fully protected, okay? And how I love you so very much so. Okay, marvelous babies, thank you for any likes, for any views. Bless all of your beautiful, dear little hearts, okay? And yeah, and really, that's all I have to say for today. I mean, I could talk about, there we are other different things, but I've got to write some cards out today, marvelous babies, so I'm going to get that done. And get just a bit of cleaning done, not a lot, so get that done as well. I just wanted to get my video out to you, all my little beautifuls that you all are, okay? And yes, and please look after yourselves, and please try to take care of others, because we are in a bonkers, crackers, and crazy world. Okay, my little babies, how I love you all so, okay? You just look after, take care now. Blessings, thank you, goodbye.